So we're really happy to have everybody here today, and want to, as you explore kind of your career path in finance, as you explore your options toward getting there. We have a fantastic group of alumni here with us today who will share their paths in the program, their experience here, and really talk about how the MFE here has shaped their careers and what their career paths have looked like. In terms of a quick introduction, I wanted to do a couple of just brief points on the program. Number one, we are a 15-month program. Admissions, is kind of currently in full swing. We will have our first review deadline December 31st. There are two other review deadlines during the year in March and in May, if I'm correct.
April 30th.
April 30th, sorry. And so this is a program for people who are interested in careers in finance, specifically quant finance, fintech, data analytics, and kind of related fields. We definitely take people from just about any background, but typically speaking, the people who do really well in this program either come from a STEM background, and they come to really get a deeper understanding of the finance concepts and the economic concepts that govern the markets, or they come from a background in econ or finance and want to really understand the more kind of quantitative aspects of the work. So I'll let everybody on the panel. We'll start with Leanna and Henry, who are my colleagues in the program. Leanna is our executive director, and Henry is our admissions coordinator. Let them go ahead and introduce themselves, and then I would like to turn it over to our alumni, have them introduce themselves as well. And if you could just, give a little bit about your background and talk about, what you've done before the MFE.
So did you want me to
Yes.
reiterate? I am Leanna Cortez, and I am indeed the UCLA Anderson MFE Executive Director. I have been with the program since its inception. So we graduated our very first class in 2009. December to be precise. And I have been happily with the MFE program ever since and helped it to grow and expand to the point where it is today. And I will pass it off to our colleague, Henry.
Hi, everyone. My name is Henry Piper. I'm the admissions coordinator for the MFE program. I started just a little over 11 months ago in mid-December. My background was also working in business school admissions before this, but I'm originally from Southern California, and I kind of bopped around for a bit, and I am extremely glad to be back in the Golden State. And there's no better place for me to be working than UCLA Anderson. And I'm really fortunate that we have our four alums here to help us learn more about the program and certainly what their career journeys have been like after graduating. Why don't we start with Rafi?
Pleasure to meet you all. My name is Rafi Babian. I'm a director at S&P Global. I currently work on our equity index management teams, managing indices that S&P produces and publishes daily, including the S&P 500. We focus on factor-based strategies, thematics, U.S. core equities. We produce over 800,000 indices a day. By way of background, I was an electrical engineer prior to the MFE program. I switched to financial engineering, and since then, my journey has been quite long and extensive. Been switching between quant finance and operations, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Great, thank you, Rafi. And then we have three other alumni here as well, Abhi, Aditya, and Dhruv. Abhi, why don't you go ahead and give us a bit about your background before MFE, what you studied, and then what made you choose the MFE over other graduate degrees?
Yeah.
And what you're working on now too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, hi guys. First of all, I think MFE UCLA is a wonderful program. So you are making the right decision if you are intending to join it. A little bit about me would be I started from a non-conventional background. I don't come from a very mathy physics background. So anybody on the panel who comes from a finance economics background, maybe I think it's still not very tough to pick it up. You can pick up the program. Before the MFE, I was working with rates and FX trading back in India, which actually got me to the weeds of financial mathematics and got me interested to pursue it academically, and hence I pursued the master's program. The program was really interesting. Went through a lot of interesting assignments, and I think one of the key courses that stuck with me and really helped me with a lot of internships and job search would be stochastic calculus, which is tough, but was helpful as well. After the program, and then I interned with RBC, which is Royal Bank of Canada in New York, which was also a pretty exciting experience. Again, a lot of stuff that I learned in the MFE program was relevant in the internship. After that, I joined JP Morgan on the residential mortgage-backed securities, which is, I don't know, which is basically part of fixed income. And that is where I think now what I'm doing is probably not as quanty as compared to what I was doing before the MFE program. I've moved more on the banking side. So my role, like I would put it this way, like previously I used to live in C++ and Python, but now I'm living more in Excel. So yeah, I mean, you take those interesting turns here and there, but then like I think the MFE program really equips you with skills which can set you apart from your colleagues in your workplaces. So I think like my current role is to do with a lot of banking stuff and deal making, but the prior experience with quant and math and the MFE program was really, I can see that those skills help me set myself apart in the current team. So I think that's helpful.
Fantastic. And Aditya, I'd love to hear a bit about your background before MFE and what you've been working on most recently.
Yeah, pleasure to meet all of you. Prior to MFE, I had a degree in computer science. So I had a degree in computer science back in India. And then I came to the MFE program pretty much directly. I had a couple of internships in between, but no work experience. And then post the MFE program, I used to work as a quant plus in quant adjacent roles, mainly as a consultant and ESG analytics and cloud architecture. Currently, I head the data science role at Shantico Technology, which is a fintech-based startup. And we are mainly focused on creating an active information system to basically reduce investor bias, especially when they are trading from their own world model, or what we classify as a world model. Does that suffice, Christina? Would you like more information?
Well, I'll ask you a couple of follow-up questions. I'd like to first hear from Dhruv, and then I have a couple of follow-up questions for all of you.
Hi guys, my name is Dhruv, and so I did my undergrad back in India in chemical engineering, and then again, just like Aditya, I pretty much came right after my undergrad. I had no work experience in India, had a few internships in quant, but yeah, no experience in India. The UCLA MFA program was actually pivotal in my internship experience. I got my internship at Millennium, and then that converted to full time. I currently work there as a risk analyst, and the classes in my first quarter, they were extremely important for my internship because obviously a lot of these interviews for internships and full-time jobs were very, very relevant to what we were being taught in the classroom. So there was the course material was super up to date, and we were like well equipped to get through the interviews. So yeah, that's what happened with the UCLA program. Got my internship, got my full-time role, and I'm currently working there since February.
Fantastic. Great. And for all of you, did you consider other programs? So, for example, an MBA or a master in finance, a master in, let's say, computer science or engineering? And what made you really choose the MFE?
I mean, I think it started with that. So when I was looking for a financial engineering program, I mean, to be honest, when I was looking, financial engineering was a new topic. There weren't that many programs to start with there was Berkeley, there's UCLA, a couple in the East Coast in Chicago. I mean, I chose UCLA because it was part of Anderson, and given the faculty here, that was one of the deciding factors. And being in a Los Angeles native, I thought UCLA made sense to me. And that was one of the deciding factors for me. And, to be honest, it's worked out very well for me.
Fantastic.
I think for me, I did consider programs like Masters of Finance in universities more towards the East Coast. But at the end of the day, I ended up deciding on Masters on Financial Engineering because of the quantitative aspect to the program. I was extremely interested in the mathematics side of the program and how the program goes into the weeds of those things. So while deciding, that was one of the key factors, and that's why I ended up deciding on applying for MFE and coming to UCLA. And yeah, I mean, West Coast can never hurt.
Fantastic.
I think for me, after doing computer science, it was more about I don't want to get into generalized computer science. So I wanted its application in a more specific field. And a few of my internships at that point were in capital markets. So I kind of drifted towards financial engineering naturally because it was computer science plus math plus finance. As far as UCLA, I think I would probably agree with what Rafi said. It's the faculty which makes a difference. The UCLA faculty is really good, especially someone like Professor Longstaff. So that was pretty much a game changer for me.
Fantastic. Great. And then, in terms of what you're doing now, I think you're all working in areas, you're working in a kind of wide variety of areas as you've all discussed. How did you find your specific path? And was that kind of your plan going in, or did it evolve during the program? How did that happen for you?
I mean, again, I can get started. So for me, going into the program, finance was somewhat new. I was an electrical engineer previous to that, so I was just trying to find my way, going through each of the classes that we had, trying to take little bits and pieces of what I liked and what I didn't like. I knew towards the end of the program that I wanted to be in more research type roles, quantitative, quant research type roles, and so I tailored the jobs and internships towards that area. Post graduation, I did work in quant research for several years. As I progressed through my career and moved up the ladder, my role now has changed more into of a people manager, a management type of position where I'm doing more strategic thinking for the company, and working with clients in starting initiatives and launching new indices. But the MFE program has helped me with building that solid foundation of like quant finance, mathematics, understanding financial markets, learning how to network. So those are some of the skills that I took away from and have used throughout my entire career.
Fantastic. Anyone else want to talk about what brought you to your career now and what your path looked like?
Yeah, I can take that. Well, I started off as in consulting with Chandigarh Global, and I met Gina through the UCLA MFE program because she was hiring from there. We do exclusively hire from MFE. A large part of the people who come to work from us are from the MFE program. And then I did my AFP project with Rajiv, who was at Savos at that point, and he ended up founding his own firm called ART, so he became another one of my clients. So generally what ended up happening was a large part of my consultancy, I was doing like quant research and analytics, but I ended up doing it for startups, especially in the hedge fund slash analytics subspace, right? So then my role automatically started going more into that kind of role. And then I started, because startups are kind of like small, you don't have a lot of people doing a lot of stuff. So I'm doing cloud architecture, I'm doing pipelines, I'm doing code cleaning, I'm doing GitHub architecture. So I'm started like doing all of this stuff. And so it kind of naturally progressed into like me going more heavily into data science and with a emphasis on quant research, but not going into like a proper, I'm guessing like quant research role or pricing role or something like that.
Fantastic. Anyone else?
Um,
Yeah, want to talk about their path?
sure, sure. I can take it. Actually, I had a very interesting thought process and idea going into the program. I think Liana might remember this. I had a chat with her, and I was torn between going into investment banking and quant finance. So what I realized is that this program was not really meant for the investment banking side of it, but it was heavily geared towards quant finance. So then once I ended up deciding on the program, so that was in a broader sense, that was the career path that I was looking at. And then my internship came along, which also highly shaped what I am doing right now. Um I'm working with as quant risk, and my job role entails a lot of risk modeling, which is a part of the coursework, and that's how it shaped what I am doing currently. And yeah, so that's why the program was like pivotal in deciding my career path, and that's how I stumbled upon it, very honestly. And that's what I'm doing right now and enjoying.
Great. Fantastic. Avi, did you have anything you wanted to add or
Yeah, I mean, so for me, it was a little different because I came from a banking experience before the MFE, so sort of had guidelines to my and guiding lines, I would say, to the job search after the program. And I interned with the bank again. So like all my life, I've just basically worked with banks, different banks. So I think that made my job search a little easy. Plus, I mean, I came into the program with a view of basically just specializing my skills into financial mathematics, which also was definitely catered to through the program. But having said that, now I'm sitting in a very different role. I don't remember the last time I did math on my job. So I mean, point being that, but one thing which I've realized even in the banking space is that when even we are looking for new analysts or associates in the team, MFE as a program or as a degree program is very sellable, which means that even if you're not pursuing a quant role, be it for internships or for full times, you can sell it very well. Like on the banking seats, you have a differential skill set, whereas on the quant roles, you are definitely part of the crowd. So I think it's a very sellable program for people because a lot of people who are planning to pursue this ultimately look for better job prospects, right? So I think in that context, I think even on the banking side, I see a lot of folks, they think that, I mean, they think and for valid reasons that MFE guys can do above and beyond just the regular econ and finance and stuff like that. So I think it worked well for me, at least in that context.
Yeah, I was curious actually building on that. Looking back, were there any like skills or courses that you learned during, your time at UCLA Anderson that were really the most valuable in your interviews or in your day-to-day work?
Is it for me or generally for everybody?
For everybody, but if you want to pick it up, you're welcome
Okay.
to.
I would say like for my internship, I think pretty much what we did in the program is what I did in my internship. So that was just a very good transfer of skills. But I would say in my current full-time role, as I said, right, like since I moved more on the banking side, not as much, honestly. But again, I can use those programming skills and the financial mathematics aspect of it as a way to set myself apart from the regular banking profiles of people around, right? So yeah, and of course, like since I'm in the fixed income part of the business, definitely the ability to price and know the different pricing models and stuff like that aids to your ability to perform well, I would say.
Just to carry forward from what Abhimanyu said, uh, the first quarter classes like stochastic calculus were extremely important for me for the interview process. I was heavily questioned on stochastic calculus. But more than that, I think for my current job role, the overall structure of the program really helps me. I can't pinpoint to one specific course that has been important to me, but the overall program in the sense that uh, it has equipped me with a good know-how of the financial products out there. And since I'm dealing with risk throughout the firm, I have to juggle between the different financial products. So then that know-how becomes extremely important in your job role, having knowledge about, say, derivative pricing or fixed income pricing. Not something specific, but having an overall sense of that is extremely important in your job role. So in that sense, UCLA MFE, the coursework was extremely relevant. So in a broader sense, again, it really helped me get equipped for my current job role.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, what I could also add to that, just from what I recall from the coursework, a lot of it is hands-on learning, right?
Mhm.
Where you're actually getting, it's not just theoretical knowledge, but it's actually practical knowledge that you're gaining. You're building tools in your little toolkit to be able to solve problems. And it's a very diverse set of classes that you'll be exposed to. Some of it you'll like, some of it you'll hate. But as you go through the program, you'll identify what you like, what you don't like, and then it'll tailor your career towards that, right? Um, that was my experience, right, with the MFE program. I just appreciated how much hands-on projects and work there was. It just prepared me for my job after the program.
Fantastic. Great. And you know, in terms of kind of your challenges when you joined the program, did you face any challenges, academically, culturally, personally, especially, for those of you who came to the U.S. from another country? What advice do you have for students who are interested in this program?
I think I flew down from India, so I could answer this one. Uh, Initially, when I was taking the flight, uh, there was a lot of nervousness.
Yeah.
But once I flew down, I was fortunate enough to have a great set of peers. Um, my class was fantastic, made some great friends, and that basically eased out all the nervousness. I mean, at that time for me, Liana was amazing. Professor Eric was outstanding as well. They were extremely important in hand holding where needed for the first few months. And then I think diving into the course, it effectively is a 15-month course, a great challenge, great fun. So most of your time will be trying to untangle stochastic calculus in the first quarter. So then it basically allowed me to settle down. It just basically happened very organically, and there was a great set of peers, so that obviously helped us explore the city. It was my first time in Los Angeles, so lovely city as well. So all of that adds to uh, you enjoying your time at UCLA. So that's how it went for me being an international student. Obviously, for everyone who's flying down to LA for their masters, it's going to be a challenge initially, but it's going to be one of the best 15 months of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Dhruv, did I just hear you say that stochastic calculus made you feel more at home?
Yes.
That's fantastic. That's like the best thing I've heard all day.
I mean, you spend so much time untangling it that once you have done that, there is that sense of satisfaction. So it does take time, but the sense of satisfaction is amazing. So yeah, if you end up seeing the end of the tunnel, then the journey seems very fruitful.
Fantastic. Anybody else have any advice to people who are considering this path?
Um, I think the only advice I have is you should spend like 2, 3 months before joining the course doing whatever you're not good at.
Mhm.
So if I came from quant, like computer science, I should have spent 3 months doing math. Someone who comes from a math background should spend time doing computer science. Someone who comes from finance and economics should spend doing that. I think should spend more time doing math,
Mhm.
maybe not computer science because they can pick it up. But I think that would be what I would say.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's usually my advice too. And I'll say this for anybody else who's on the call is if you and we're always happy to sit down with you and work with you on your resume, give you advice on how to prepare, and even point out classes that you might be able to take. But generally speaking, look, if you come from a finance econ profile, you're probably going to need to do a bit more math, a bit more coding. If you come from computer science, maybe a bit of math, some statistics, and maybe a macro econ course or similar. And then if you come from electrical engineering, you know how to code, you've got the math. But really, you'll probably want to spend some time, getting a better understanding of the fundamentals of finance and economics, so that you can kind of integrate all of that knowledge together. Um, in terms of just the field itself, it's changing quickly, right? The finance field, especially with AI, machine learning, automation. What trends are you seeing in the industry, and what skills do you think kind of future MFEs are going to need going forward?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, what I could say from personal experience at work is, I mean, AI is being quickly adopted by companies in all aspects of your day-to-day job, whether it's using AI to, model financial assets or just improve daily processes like writing emails. AI is going to be everywhere. Um, Learning the models, understanding the strengths and weaknesses of them, just like any other model, like a regression model or a factor model or whatever it may be. Like those are some of the strengths you should, as an MFE student, be aware of. Um, and with AI, you're going to have the ability to learn more quicker. So that's going to give you an advantage of like looking at data sets, looking at analytics, being able to do your job better, quicker. So those are some of the things that I've come across.
Fantastic. Anyone else? Aditya? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can just extend on what Rafi just said. There's a lot of roles opening up which are like quant adjacent, pretty much. Um, so that is something to consider for people, especially with how quickly AI is growing, right? Because even if AI is growing pretty quickly, one person cannot keep track of everything, right? And at some point, you're going to create specialized agents which are doing specialized tasks, which require some people to manage them and understand why they're doing what they're doing, right? So there are a
Mhm.
lot of adjacent roles that are going to grow along that segment. And apart from that, I mean, one thing I do notice in machine learning at times, and this sometimes happens, is that when you're applying for jobs, sometimes it's not so much about what you know, it's about what you don't know. And a lot of firms are more willing because what happens is when people go up the ladder in terms of leadership positions, they are more willing to explain to you model insights and how the data is supposed to be read and what the outputs are supposed to look like, as opposed to like how to put the whole system together. So you're better off understanding the theoretical framework that go behind machine learning models and the packages that are written to implement them, and what is the difference between what are the assumptions they made when they went from the theoretical framework to the framework that is actually implemented, and understanding the parameters that govern them so that once you have the whole pipeline done, it's much easier for someone to explain it to you, which means your chances of getting hired are much higher, pretty much.
Great. We've been doing a lot of talking here on the panel. I'd like to open up questions to participants. You can go ahead and type your questions in the chat, and we can forward those, or we can handle them ourselves. A couple of these are admissions questions. Looks like we have a question about TOEFL score. Henry, do you want to take that one?
Sure thing. Leanna, correct me if I'm wrong. I've been so much in the recruiting mindset, I actually haven't thought too much about our TOEFL scores in a sec, but I believe we look for 100 or higher. Is that correct?
That is correct. The Division of Graduate Education actually has a minimum score of 87, but as Henry mentioned, we typically look for those who have a score of 100 or higher as their total TOEFL score.
Great. Thank you, Lana. Shenying, your question about scholarship for California residents. Yes, there is a California Residents Fellowship. It is $10,000 towards your program fees for the MFE. Let me see. Heighten has a question. Could you provide more details about scholarship opportunities available for the MFE program? For example, the typical award size, criteria. So yes, we every applicant is considered for a merit-based scholarship upon applying. There's no separate scholarship essay or scholarship application. Those typically run around 8 to 12,000, and that's for the entire 15 months of the program. And criteria, I would say, well, we look. I think certainly one of the things I look at first when getting in an application would be GPA and major, GRE and GRE or GMAT test scores, and what sort of work experience you're coming in with as an applicant. Because it could be internship experience if you're coming straight from undergrad, or it could be full-time work experience. And then beyond that, our review is holistic, as I know Leanna and Christina would say as well. And so it's not like we're only looking at those three categories. We're looking at the entire application as a whole. And so things like your written communication or your spoken communication in the required admissions interview can help you stand out. And then another big one that I think deserves some mention is the letters of recommendation, the references. So we require 2 and we accept a maximum of 3. And we look for, first of all, academic, if certainly if you're still in school, but professional references as well. And these are people who are not colleagues, but more senior than you, preferably supervisors or managers. And if you work for like a family business, we won't accept a family member's recommendation for perhaps obvious reasons. But things to keep in mind with that is you want to have someone recommend you who really knows you, not just, oh, I know that I've had a few conversations with the highest up person at my company, I'm going to get them to do my reference. Well, you want to be someone who knows your strengths and knows your areas of improvement, and whoever you pick or whichever people you choose to pick, try to have a conversation with them before, or like a proper conversation, whether it's over Zoom or maybe a coffee chat or something, as you ask them to be your recommender, not just a quick little email like, hey, can you do this? Because that way, in talking to this reference, you can kind of remind them of all your good qualities and also make it clear how interested you are in this program. I could go on, but I will say the themes would be, yes, this is a holistic review, and however you can demonstrate your strong communication skills, your quantitative competence, and then I guess 2 other things would be your aptitude for learning, maybe active open-mindedness, however you want to frame that. And I know something that Leanna and Christina would certainly agree with, your willingness to get involved and be dedicated, because those are the kinds of students we really want in the program as well. Students who are going to, show up to all the different career services events we have and be a part of our, the more social things. Like we have this, something we do a few Thursdays per quarter called Andernoons, where you get to mingle with students from other programs in Anderson. It was a bit of a long answer, but hopefully that was some good context. Let's see. Any preference between GRE and GMAT? I mean, I guess slight preference for GRE, but we accept both. If you find yourself having not taken either and you just want to choose, sure, choose GRE. But no, we accept both scores. Oscar's question about program more.
Actually, I wanted to pose that one back toward the
Yeah.
alumni. Actually, is the program oriented more toward applicants who come from a professional background? Panelists, can you talk about? And we touched on this earlier with all of you, but just kind of the extent to which you know had professional experience beforehand, and also what you're seeing, in terms of other people that especially for you, for example, Rafi. And what you're seeing in terms of people that you're hiring into your companies.
Yeah, from my experience during the program, it was just such a variety of backgrounds, whether it's hard quants, soft quants, people with job experiences, no job experiences. I think it's an open item to what the individuals actually want to get out of the program and how well they do in the program. It depends on their own individual efforts. My personal background working as an electrical engineer did help me because I had technical skills that were applicable to like financial data. I could quickly program something to analyze the results and so forth. Those are some of the things that I would actually recommend for those that are thinking of an MFE program is just brush up on your technical skills, make sure that you're able to actually, be able to handle the rigor of the academic work, but also like sometimes you may have skills that others don't have, and there's also that opportunity to work with others to be able to leverage each other's strengths, right?
Yeah, I was actually just talking to a couple of the current students who've been, who are graduating in December, and they said that one of the things they would recommend to anybody is really preparing a lot before you come, especially coming for the summer refresher courses. We hold refresher courses in math, Python, and I believe we have other courses. Leanna, maybe chime in there.
Sure, we do actually offer a workshop in R. I'm not certain going forward if we're going to continue with that one, but Python is a 10-week course and the math refresher course is 8 to 10 weeks. I'm actually not certain right now, but the math refresher course and the Python course are very, very useful in, preparing you for the rigorous curriculum that first quarter even. A lot of people get very, very surprised by the stochastic calculus, econometrics, even financial accounting actually surprises people. Investments is usually a very fun class for everyone because everybody's so interested in that subject matter. But we do highly, highly recommend. At this point, we don't require the pre-program coursework, but it is absolutely a requirement if you want to be on a level playing field with your classmates. And, maybe we could ask the panelists if they actually took any of the pre-program coursework. I think for you all, it may have been Professor Levon Gukasian who was offering both C++ and maybe a little bit of math, I believe. Rafi, I see you shaking.
Yeah,
yes.
For me, it was Levon. Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
I think at the time there was maybe an accounting class as well.
I believe so. We had a foundational
finance.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. So it is very, very important to take your preparation seriously because very quickly you find yourself amidst your classmates thinking, I wish I had done that. I wish I had taken the admissions team urging seriously. And, hindsight is always 20/20. But as much as possible, if you are considering joining an MFE program or a quantitative finance program, in the near future, you should already be preparing. Don't wait until summer. There are those on Data Camp. You can go on to Coursera. They have a lot of really great resources where you can, complete a certificate class. I don't know, any of the panelists, do you guys?
Liana,
Yeah.
do you mind if I add to it?
Oh, sure. That would be amazing.
Yeah. So for the pre-program class, we had Professor Giles Rambo, and it was
The
a
math
math
refresher.
pre-program. Yep. And also we had these interview preparation sessions with Professor Levan Gokasian.
Yes.
Just to add to it, we did touch upon how students should, like anyone who's wanting to get into the program should prepare for their mathematical skills or coding or finance out of the three, whatever is your weakest. But one thing that I would like to add is equally important would be preparing for your interviews. Because the second you step in first quarter, that's September, there will be 4 courses hitting you. At the same time, a lot of buy-side funds on the East Coast close their recruiting by December. So that will be the peak interview season, as well as like obviously test giving, like these aptitude tests, coding tests, and then the interviews will be a big part of the first quarter. So if you were getting in September and then starting your interview prep, then you've missed the train. Because effectively, if you were recruiting for December, when the season ends and there are 6 to 7 iterations of interviews before an offer letter is passed out, you are effectively starting to interview at the latest by October. So you are giving your pre-interview tests in September itself. So it is equally as important to get a hold of your interview preparations, doing things like the Green Book, which is basically puzzles and stuff like that, brushing up on your skills, as Liana mentioned or Rafi mentioned, which would help you through tests. So all of that will be extremely important before you step into the program. Professor Levan Gukasian will also take these sessions where he preps you for these puzzle type questions. But again, it is highly advised to start preparing beforehand as well, because professor can do only as much in the 3-hour span that he has, or the 6-hour span that he has. So it is important to spend time with those things, because it takes a hot second to calibrate your mind to these interview questions.
Mm-hmm. Right. Thank you, Dhruv. I wanted to highlight the fact that just this past year, we actually switched our career track from March during spring break to October, the very beginning of October.
And yeah, that would be lovely.
Yeah. So that's yet one of the great benefits of being a part of the UCLA Anderson MFE program is the fact that when we hear feedback, we're able to pivot. And this was one of those things that we wanted to be able to provide to our students right when they first started. And we got really great feedback. And so moving forward, I do believe we'll be continuing the New York career trek in the beginning of October, rather than waiting until spring break. Yeah.
We have
in addition to everything that Dhruv mentioned, so they have one more thing to care about now.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. But I would say the kind of timeline Dhruv mentioned was amazing. And for all the candidates who are willing to apply for any of the MFE programs with the same kind of timeline for the program, that job interviews and the internship interviews, they remain same. So it's just that we just have to prepare more, given the fact that the program is designed from September to December. So we just land at the time where the interviews also start at the same time. But I think the way Dhruv put it, it's amazing. That timeline is exactly how it is, and that is across US. At least I would say. I don't know about Europe, but I mean, because the candidates might apply to other MFE programs as well, so that timeline still remains the same.
Right.
So
We have oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
I was
ahead.
going to say we have a couple of questions for the alumni in here, and I wanted to make sure we got those in before we run out of time here. One is, and I'm going to throw all of these out there and let you guys grab them. One is for the alums, which professor has been the one that stood out most to you as a mentor figure, and were you able to work with any of them in the research? That's number one. Number two was, sorry, it's down here. What programming languages do you use in your work? And relatedly, there was one on stochastic calculus. Can you explain how stochastic calculus is actively used at work? And then finally, there's a question about, sorry, I'm scrolling back and forth to see these. Let's start with those first, and then I'll find the other one. So, which professors were mentors? How did you work with them? How are you using stochastic calculus, and which programming languages are you using?
I mean, I could start with the last one, which programming languages. I mean, Python very frequently on a daily basis, as well as SQL. Python to just analyze data, all the different libraries. It's very powerful. And SQL just to like harness the data, clean it, structure it, put it in a database and so forth. So those are two that on a day-to-day basis I use pretty commonly. And as far as like stochastic calculus, I mean, anything from option pricing to for our purposes, like we have a lot of, let's say, multi-asset indices that we have to calculate daily. So we need to know what option prices will be like. So you have Black-Scholes. You have all different types of stochastic processes that you want to model to identify economic trends. I mean, it's quite useful, I would say.
Great, thank you.
And to answer the professor question, for me, it was hands down Professor Eric Reiner. Just to give people a disclaimer, he has he has the most challenging course throughout the 15 months, but it sets you up to think about derivatives in a fantastic manner. Like, he goes into the weeds of it, he goes into the basics and the fundamentals of it. And it was absolutely beautiful and it was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, since the program was 15 months and right after the program, I had to move into a more professional role. I did not have the opportunity to do any research with him, but I still am in touch with him since he commutes between New York and LA. I have had the chance to catch up with him on a couple of coffee chats. He's given me some invaluable advice as I start my professional career. So he has hands down been one of my biggest mentors throughout this program, because obviously he has been a part of the industry as well. And for stochastic calculus, how I see it is that it would not ideally directly affect what you would be doing, but it is a solid foundation. You need that foundation. If you want to understand pricing, it is the building blocks. It's effectively you trying to do 1 + 1 = 2, but you need to understand what 1 and 2 are. So stochastic calculus teaches you what 1 and 2 are, whereas pricing will take you to 1 + 1 = 2. So that is how I see stochastic calculus. And that is why I feel that it's extremely important to build that understanding.
I mean, to quickly add to that, it's probably one of the questions you'll get on your interviews as well. So like you have to really understand stochastic calculus.
Yeah.
I see that Rodolfo, you've had your hand up for quite a bit. Why don't you ask us your question?
Thank you. Good night for everybody.
Good
Excuse me,
evening.
I'm in the car, so I can write. Uh, my question is if the panelists have considered another MFE program. In that case, why did you choose the Anderson's School of Management, the Anderson's MFE?
Great question.
I think for me, it was mostly the faculty. So we have a couple of professors who have worked in the industry before, and they're really good at explaining the concepts. And then we have a couple of professors who are extremely good at research. One I would probably name is Professor Valentin Haddad. So when you have a good combination of professors who do research and have been in the industry, it's kind of helpful when you're studying under them. And for me, that was a reason why I picked UCLA.
I mean,
Right.
to add to that, my reason for joining UCLA was obviously everything that Aditya said also was extremely important to my decision. But a couple of other key factors that I had was the curriculum. It's a very well balanced curriculum between the maths and the finance side of it. So that is something that I was looking for while deciding the program. And another driving factor for me was that the MFE program is housed within the business school of UCLA.
Mhm.
So then that made a difference in making the choice because it's obviously you're not doing business courses, but it's about mindset. It's about the people who you are networking with and talking to. You have the opportunity to talk to folks in MBA programs as well. You also have the opportunity to take a few MBA electives that the program offers. So then that makes a difference in shaping your mindset as well. So that was one of my driving factors as well.
Fantastic. And a couple of quick questions. Somebody was asking about career paths, and also another person was asking, what does somebody with a particularly strong quantitative background, like what does their career path look like, and how is that different from, somebody else's?
I think you can develop strong skills. It kind of depends on when you start. Like Dhruv mentioned, if you start long enough, you give yourself more optionality in terms of interviews, and then
Mhm.
your career path can look differently. But it kind of depends on if you know exactly where you want to go. If you don't know where you want to go and you're just trying to like figure things out in your first quarter, right? Your career path can look quite different as opposed to like someone knowing exactly what they want to do. For example, like I spoke to a current student, I think he came from credit markets and he spent 1 year preparing for the UCLA MFE course and he knows exactly what he wants to do once he graduates. Such a person's career path is going to look way different because they know exactly what they want to do in terms of their next job. You're not trying to like apply to a wide variety of jobs and then tailor your resume accordingly and then try to get like calls back from them. But if you're going into like pure quant, you could either go end up in like you could end up doing like a doctorate and then go into signal research and go into hedge funds, or I think your career path could look like how Rafi's looks like. You end up being a director, or like you end up going to like risk management, director of risk management or something like that.
And to just add to that, like after the program, when it comes to the quant field, obviously it's a very broad term, but effectively the world is your oyster. You can tap into whatever roles. But as Aditya mentioned, it is extremely important to find your niche quickly because or else you'll be scattering for everything. You'll end up scattering for the crumbs. Uh, so then it becomes important to have that figured out. So, I mean, just to give you an example, if you were good at the programming part of the job, then you can focus on the programming part. If you are good at the quant part of the job, then you can focus on the quant part. So, I mean, just to give you an example, if you were good at the programming part of the job, then you can focus on the programming part. If you are good at the quant part of the job, then you can focus on the quant part. probably quant developer is what might entice you. Uh, or if you're not as strong with the programming side of it, but you like to think more intuitively, you like to think more on your feet, good with the puzzles part of it, you can go more towards the trading side of it. So effectively, the career path is another very broad question. So it depends on what your skill set are and what skill sets are you looking to gain from the program and how you want to get out of the program with what kind of a mindset and what kind of a skill set that will drive your career path.
I don't know.
Great.
For me, I will, sorry to differ from both the opinions, but like, at least from my personal experience, although I came from experience, but still, like a lot of people told me as an immigrant, like, you cannot have the luxury of cherry picking. So, I mean, a lot of folks that I consider mentors in my space, they're like, dude, you got to just apply to every single job out there. And if you get an interview, just prepare for that. So, I mean, again, there are downsides to it. You'll be like, oh, you don't know what you want to do. But then at the same time, whatever I want to do, probably the golden job out there might not be sponsoring visas. So, like, what can you do? So, I mean, first get a job and then pursue your passion. That's how I see it. But this is, I would say, particularly to, I mean, it has helped me personally. I applied for a lot of different roles. And just prepared for a banking role, for a structuring role, for a trading, for a quant, for whatever. But then at the end, like if I were super selective, then I'm basically cutting down my options there. So I think it might work for somebody, may not work for somebody, but definitely a thing to be mindful of as an immigrant because some jobs don't just sponsor your visas. So like you cannot be super selective there.
Mhm. That's a good point.
I see there are two questions about the applied finance project, which might be our last one, I guess, since we're about at time. But let me just make sure I'm reading this correctly. What makes an applied finance project truly stand out to employers in terms of demonstrating strong quant or analytical skills? And are students able to tailor their projects to their interest or background, or are topics usually assigned?
I mean, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to the exact project and the types of projects that the program is offering right now. But what I can say about the applied project is it's an opportunity for you to use the time for interviews to talk about something that you are the expert in. So one thing that will help you with jobs and interviews is the project is a way for you to show your ability and your both your technical ability and your financial knowledge. It's a way for you to be able to take control of that interview and be able to educate the interviewer of what it is that you did, how you did it, and why it worked the way you did it. So it's one of the strengths the program has because it allows you to flip the tables on interviews and interviewers and give you that opportunity to then drive the narrative in the interviews. That's how I viewed it whenever I was at Anderson, because at that point they're asking you questions about what you did, and you know more at that point than they do. So you're actually controlling the interview at that point.
Thank you, Rafi.
I think just to add to that, the AFP is kind of useful because you actually get to work with a company and a live person. And if you're willing to spend time on it and you're able to research and then, so here's the thing with the AFP, generally it's a broad problem statement. So you're able to like narrow it down after like a couple of conversations with the company. But the best part of it is you actually get to meet with speak with the prospective person. And I was able to like get a job with someone after completing my AFP whom I did the AFP with. So it's essentially a potential, there's a potential over there towards getting a job as well, or at least getting a reference, because at this point it's not more of a cold, It's not like a cold email, right? You're actually working with a person. So if you're interested in a job at that particular firm, you could potentially, and you've done a good job at the AFP, you could potentially reach out to the person and ask them to refer you for it. So there are multiple benefits from doing the AFP properly.
So how I saw the AFP was, for me, was kind of different because obviously I came right after undergrad, and this would be relevant to someone who came right after undergrad as well, who does not have any work experience. It was my way of being able to show the employers that I can work in a corporate setting. It was my only bridge between a classroom setting and a work setting. So it effectively allowed me to showcase to the employers that yes, I can apply what I have learned in the classroom and take it a step further. So that is how I used my AFP, and that is how it was extremely relevant to me. Apart from obviously, it allowed me to build upon my skill set. But yeah, that's how I personally used my AFP for someone who did not have any work experience in coming into the program.
Great, thank you. Leanna, Christina, did you have any final comments?
Well, I want to be mindful of time. It is now 5:06 for us on the West Coast, which means it's 8:06 p.m. for our East Coast panelists. Thank you all. I know Avi already had to drop. He had another meeting to go to. But I think this was a fantastic panel. Thank you so much, everyone, and Christina for moderating the panel. I was wondering if you all would be willing to connect with those on this call via LinkedIn. If they were to reach out, they can reach out, and maybe connect and have an information session with you about your particular work. I don't want to, well, I'm putting you on the spot while not wanting to. But we also do have admissions ambassadors I wanted to mention. I can put that in the chat. And you all, please take advantage. One thing that we always say when you're looking for a graduate degree program, what you want to make sure you do is speak with current students and alumni. They are going to be able to give you what the administration cannot give you, which is their personal student-facing experience. And that is very important to be able to figure out if it's a right culture fit. It's a great way to find out what kind of resources are available from the student perspective, from the alumni perspective. How engaged are our alumni, which thankfully I can say our alumni are very engaged, and we're constantly getting them more engaged. So many of our alumni are now sponsoring applied finance projects, if just to bring that full circle. So many opportunities to connect, and make sure that if you have any questions, Henry put our mfe.admissions email address in the chat. And I was just curious, one last question, and then I'll hand it back over to Christina. But where is everyone joining us from? What part of the world?
Feel free to enter it in the chat. Or
yes. I know we still have 21 people on the call. So if you guys
spread, nice. Mumbai.
Yes.
Nice.
Oh, wonderful. Mumbai.
Barbara, Irvine, New York, DC.
Nice.
Great.
Let's move from there.
Great.
Toronto, Taiwan.
Jose Estrada from Guatemala City.
Guatemala.
Fantastic.
Okay, bienvenido.
Muchas gracias.
So everyone, please feel free to reach out to us. Christina and Henry are our wonderful MFE admissions team. Christina, did you want to say anything additionally?
I wanted to say thank you to everybody for all of your fantastic questions, and really thank you to the alums too. You guys really helped make this a very, very informative event. So thanks, folks, for coming.
Yes, thank you all. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening. I know in Taiwan, I think it's morning now.
Probably. Yeah.
Either that or approaching on afternoon. Okay, well, everyone, thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you on the next one. Please make sure to take a look at our admissions events. We do have quite a few admissions events on our website right now. So make sure you stay in touch with us, okay? And thank you, Adi, Dhruv,
Rafi, yeah.
Rafi, Abhi already dropped off. Thank you
Thank you,
so
guys.
much. All right, bye.